Hello, what's going on? Welcome to episode 37. Can't believe I'm on 37 already. I will give everyone a few minutes to jump on real quick. Got a lot of little interesting suggestions on topics for the home front. So first, I want to welcome everybody. Thank you again for joining me every night. And make sure you let me know that you're on. Say something so I can say hello. Are you over there Snapchatting me? I thought she was over there Snapchatting behind the scenes. What's up, Mark? What's going on, DJ? Yes, I finally did my hair. No, I didn't get it done. I just did it. I washed it. You can't wash it every day. And I actually had to do something because I ran today, so it was looking a little bit of a mess. Something. Okay, you said something. I did the same thing before. It says on Facebook, there's a little block that says say something about yourself, and I literally said something about myself. But tonight we're going to talk about house hacking, and I got this idea actually from our conversation today, Mark. I was thinking about talking about apartments and why those are better options than single-family homes. But for those investors out there, the house hack is if you're going to purchase a property and instead of purchasing a single-family property, you purchase a duplex, triplex, or fourplex, and you have 4 units instead of 1. And what makes this a really good option, say, for example, is if the property is $200,000, you put a down payment of like $50,000 down, and you have a mortgage on $150,000. If each unit rents out for $800, you have an income. Well, if you rent 3 units out of a fourplex for $800 a month, your income, or even if you do a fourplex, is $2,400. So you're making a good income. You can live in that 4th unit, and you're actually getting paid. So you have 8 times 3 is $2,400. Now you've got the 4th unit. It pays for itself. You're getting an income of $500, and you don't have to pay anything. So you're ultimately living rent-free, mortgage-free, and the units are paying for themselves. Hey, Aaron, thank you for joining. It's a really good idea as far for the starter investor because a single-family home, you have to think about the vacancy rate. And that's important because if you have a home you're renting out and say a couple months goes by when your old tenant moves out, now you have an empty house that you have to pay the mortgage for, and you're probably living somewhere else that you have to pay the mortgage for. So it might not be worth it for you unless you know that there's going to be an annual cost of just holding that house. So it's just something else to consider. The house hack. It makes you get income and you live rent or mortgage free by getting a fourplex and renting out several units of it. It might not be the right thing for you, but it's definitely, multifamilies are definitely a really good route to go if you want to have cash flow income. What's going on, Carrie Ann? Thanks for joining. Let me scroll back through some of these comments. I'm going to purchase an apartment complex. That's the way to go. We were actually just talking about that, and I would love to chat about apartment complexes because that's something that I want to get into. It's more of a future goal. Today I had a long conversation with Mark about it, and the reason that I chose the route that I'm taking with is starting with flips, then some rentals, and then getting into the apartment complexes is because I want to personally get some lump sums of cash together so then we can get into the big apartment deals. But when I first started looking at apartments, I think it was last year, there was actually a class with my local investor club that I'm a part of, and they did a whole one-day class with tools, spreadsheets, and they gave you a lot of information about it, which really helped me as the beginner investor learning what I'm looking to do down the road. And there's a lot of information that you need to know. And even as a real estate agent, I don't know that. That's not something that I would know that's a good deal. So you have to really know how to work the numbers, do your research, know what a good cash flow is, what the good cap rate is, what's your NOI. There's a ton of numbers that you really need to understand because just because I was reading a good quote. It said, just because it's a low market price or you think it might be a low market price does not mean it's a good deal. You have to really look at it and know how things work. And commercial real estate is a lot different than residential real estate. So even if you, as a realtor, when I first got into real estate, I was getting a lot of calls from investors, and they were asking me, send me the good deals. Well, I don't know what's a good deal for you, or I didn't at the time. Now that I know how to run those numbers, I know as an investor myself, I know how to run the numbers and I know what's a good deal. So you really have to be in that niche, and you really have to understand everything before you can pass the good deals along. So please chime in if you have any questions about the house hack, going back to the house hack. Thank you, Frank, for joining. Let's see. Thank you for that nice comment. Finally got your hair. Yeah. Got my hair done. Hey, Valentine, what's going on? We were just talking about house hacking. I don't know if you've participated in house hacking, or then eventually, getting into the larger multifamilies. But, they say even if you want to get into investing, that you have to understand too that owning a house is not it's not an asset. It's actually a liability, because it's not making you any money unless you're renting it out. You are paying for it every month. It's costing money out of your pocket. So a lot of the investor information that I've found tells you that you should really start with a multifamily property. Aaron says we handle residential and commercial in Central PA, Northern Maryland. Oh, I'll have to check that out. Okay. I'm not into commercial real estate. Yes. Real quick overview, Valentine. House hacking is purchasing a small multifamily, like a duplex, triplex, or quad, and living in one of the units and renting the rest of them out. So therefore, you have an income, and you are living for free. You don't have to pay anything towards the mortgage. It pays for itself, and you don't have to really worry about a vacancy, because you can live in one of the units and you have no mortgage, no rent to pay, and you're making income. So that's what house hacking is. And I was just explaining that, and explaining how a lot of the investors, like on Bigger Pockets, which is a social media group that I'm a part of for investors, they kind of give you the full approach, and you can really network with other investors pretty much all over the place. But mainly you do residential multifamily. Yeah, I'm just starting to get into multifamily. I've been learning a lot about it. What is your best price? How would you handle this? Sorry, what are you talking about? What is my best price? I'm not really sure. Valentine says, I have renters that live in my house. All the rooms are rented, so my house. Yeah, that's exactly what house hacking is. It's even if it's a room. So you've now created your original house and made it an asset. That was a liability. Any investments in Philadelphia? I have a lot of wholesale. That's a good. So you definitely want to get with, hopefully I'm saying this right, Avi, for Philadelphia wholesale properties. You live with two girls? Yeah, it's hard. Oh, okay. So I guess they're like roommate type situations. I've seen a lot of people rent out their rooms in really big houses. And that really helps to, again, creating an asset versus a liability. What's up, Kevin? Good evening. How are you? The article that I had pulled up, it talks a little bit about it. It says if you want to just start looking, you can use Realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia, and you can start looking at properties. As an investor, I always say it's going to take you a while to find the right property, but you just have to keep looking. You have to keep analyzing deals. And Bigger Pockets also has a really good deal analyzer on there. But when you say investor, again, it depends on your goals, not just, oh, I want to get into flips or I want to get into renting and holding, because there are a lot of different things. And you also have to have an idea of how much money you want to make. Because when I was speaking with Mark today, he was saying that a lot of people that he knows that have gotten into flips, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to end up just breaking even, because there's a lot of unknowns when you get into flipping. You don't typically the investors that I've worked with don't typically do a home inspection. So you're going into a house blind that you think it may be a good deal, but could ultimately eat up your profit if you find some major issue. You said I'm never home, but multifamily start at 350, way overpriced in this area. See, we don't have, I don't feel like where I live, we have many multifamily units. That we don't have the duplexes and the quads here. If you go closer to DC, obviously you get more than that. And you said ROI would take forever. Yeah, it depends on your area. And a lot of people do look outside of their hometown, but it's easier too if you're able to be closer to home, because then you can easily watch it. You definitely need to learn the area, because you can't invest in a place that you don't know what's going on. That's a good way to lose everything. Even if you're familiar with the area, like places just maybe 20 minutes north are maybe is not as familiar. Obviously, I know what prices go for of houses around me because I'm always looking at them. And if you don't know that 20 miles up the road, it's more dense and the prices are higher, you're going to get less land for what you're paying for, then you're going to think, oh, what a great deal. But you have to really know the area. And I had a debate with someone on a Facebook page, and I just stopped because everybody thinks they know what houses should be priced at, and it's just not true. In my neighborhood, they went from one set kind of model to a lower end model. And I don't know why they did it, but Ryan Homes changed it up in the middle of development and decided that they wanted to sell them at a lower price. And everybody was complaining that it was going to take the value of our neighborhood down. And I tried to explain to them I don't know what the word is. I tried to explain to them that those houses are completely different. They are less square footage. They are not the same. They don't have the same upgrades and features inside. They are not going to bring the value of our house down because they're not comparable. Even though a house sits in the same neighborhood, if it is not the same, you can't use it as a comparison. There's a community just like a few miles up the road that has everything from townhouses to small houses to huge houses. And you can't compare. Just because they're sitting in the same neighborhood does not mean they're comparable. I mean, you can have two houses that are built in the same year, but if one house is in crap shape and the other house has had all the nice upgrades, they're not going to compare. You can't use those as comps. But people don't understand that. Everybody does real estate and everybody knows how to do it. So the thing I'm saying is you have to do your homework. Don't just assume that you know what you're talking about and get all, up in arms about your house value coming down. You've got to really know the area that you're going to be in. The duplex in San Antonio has a lot of drugs. And I was talking to PJ, and he's dealing with the same thing, not necessarily with duplexes, but the houses that he's flipping, that he's dealing with, I guess, drug addicts taking over the house since it's sitting empty. So I didn't realize that was such a problem in certain cities. I mean, I've heard it in, say, Detroit and some of the other big cities, but I guess, of course, I don't know San Antonio, and I definitely wouldn't have thought that about Arizona. So I haven't really looked at city data, Avi, I hope I'm saying that right, but I'm definitely going to check it out. I've heard a couple people talk about city data, and there's a lot of good information on it. Aaron says, our app has GPS and works nationally. Oh, I'll definitely check that out. Okay. So that's got information on every area in the U.S., Aaron? CMA, the appraisal district, and we'll use those numbers again to accept exactly what you said is correct in the CMA of townhomes. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you just need to get with someone who really, really knows the area and is able to give you good information, because Zillow is not your golden nugget of information. It's a good starting point, but it could be as much as 30% off, usually is. And it can go either way. It can be up or down for each city of all information. Okay, I'll definitely check that out. I like to look at different things. But I appreciate you guys joining this evening again. And as always, I appreciate you spending time with me every night to learn a little bit about real estate. I'll go over some of the topics that you guys suggested. I thought some of them were funny. I personally don't talk about politics or religion. I got that suggestion, and that's probably more of a Tuesday night show, which is our girls' night show that we do on Tuesdays at 9. Let's see. Finding True Love, that's definitely a Tuesday night show. Make sure you work with experts. I always say that I am not an expert at doing appraisals. I'm not a home inspection expert. I don't know, I'm not a loan officer. So I always refer people to the expert in that field. A lot of people want to come to me and say, oh, well, what can I afford? I want to pay this month or this amount monthly. And I'm like, I'm not the expert. There's a lot of things that go into what you're going to pay. Interest rates is going to impact how much you can afford overall. And I don't know what the current interest rates are. They change daily. So I really need to get people with the expert. And that's just an example of why you need to consult an expert. And I always tell people, if you're just starting out, it's good that you got with me, because I have loan experts that I work with that'll get you the information and quickly. And that's where we start when we start looking. So definitely, and again, to go with the experts, I always say people want to be their own lawyer. It's like, you wouldn't do your own surgery, would you? So why are you trying to be your own lawyer, be your own real estate agent? There's experts for a reason. They know the ins and outs. They know the industry. They know how things work. They know the questions to ask. Don't put yourself in that position where you're taking a guess and you could lose a whole lot of money. It's not exactly an industry that I would be the expert in on my own without knowing what I'm doing. But again, and thank you. Again, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for the evening. So if you guys are looking to buy, sell, rent, if you have any questions, I would love to help you. Please, oh look, she's making an appearance. I think she's about to jump. What are you doing? She'll cuss you out too. I hear her cussing at the flies sometimes outside. Yes, any questions on investments, feel free to ask. Absolutely, we will. And I'll probably get with you, Avi and Aaron as well. Please don't knock that picture over. But I'll probably get with you guys as well. I just would like to hear a little bit more about what you guys do. Thanks again for joining me, and anything that I can help you with, or you guys just want to ask some questions, please feel free. Don't hesitate. I'm on Snapchat, Twitter. We do this show every night. I think I'm just going to stick to Monday through Friday from now on. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to take the Saturday show away. But I get a lot of feedback Monday through Friday around this time. So that's what we're doing. And thanks again. I will see you guys tomorrow.